All right. It looks like some people are still trying to check into on campus. That's fine. If you haven't done that, please do so. Couple things I want to do today. I want to quickly kind of scroll through this practice test. All right. Um, I've been kind of scrolling through it the last couple of minutes, and as you check your answers with mine, if you have any questions, just put them in the chat, and then I'll get to them. Okay. After we go over the practice test and any questions you have on that, I want to introduce the second practice test and then kind of give a couple of expectations for the actual test. So like what to expect, how you turn it in, time limits and stuff like that. All right. And then after that, I'll go over some more general questions, and then I'll be on teams as you guys work through this practice test like you normally would, uh, and answer any like really specific questions that you have. Are you posting this work to on campus? I am not. I did not do this on a PDF, so I'd have to. It's a pain to copy this from OneNote. Okay, but it'll be like you can go back and look at all this stuff. I know that's kind of a pain in some ways, but it'll do. Okay. Um, great. So, first, are there any specific questions over the practice test? And again, I'll explain all the test stuff a little bit later. Right now, I'm focused on questions on this practice test. No, this practice test is for you. Um, and you also have all of my work now, so it wouldn't really matter anyway. Um, when you're doing this practice test and the next practice test, though, I strongly encourage you to do it on your own without notes. I get that during the test you'll have most of those things available to you, but there is still a time limit, and it is like the better you can do it without help, the better you'll be able to get this done uh, well within that period. Okay. Um, this test isn't meant to be hard. It's not. It really shouldn't be that challenging. Uh, I just want to make sure you understand some of this stuff. So if you are taking the ACT again, or you haven't taken the ACT, you'll have these tools to kind of help you out. Um, it's only 6 questions. It's gonna look exactly the same. Okay, and I'll kind of go over the rest as I introduce the next practice test. But again, questions on this practice test and this practice test only. Okay, since there are no questions over this, again, you can check through this. We did the first 3 together last class. You can also look at that. Um, if you go to on campus, go to our period, we're period 6, go to topics, go to systems of equations and matrices. You have 2 practice tests here. You have the senior practice test and the senior practice test 2. Okay, the senior practice test, the top one, that's something we've already done. That was what I just had on screen. The second one is a blank one that's supposed to be for you to do kind of on your own. Okay, so I get that you guys watching me is very helpful, but I would like you to be able to do it on your own without help or without guidance. So this second practice test is meant for you to do on your own so you can gauge how much you actually need to prepare. Okay, it shouldn't be much. It's just like the original practice test, but it's still useful. Okay, so this has the answers on it. And what I'd like you to do is actually to work to try and get those answers. And again, as you have questions, I'll be on Teams a little bit later and we can talk then. Okay, but for now, I want to go over kind of the test in general. All right, so again, it's going to be 6 questions. It's going to look exactly the same as these 2 practice tests. The first 3 are going to be operations on matrices. Okay, so you'll have to add matrices together. You have to multiply them by a scalar, and you will have to multiply matrices together. Okay, that's the first 3 questions that you see up on your screen right now. Okay, the 4th question is going to be solving a system of equations using elimination. All right. Now, when you get to this, I understand that you have a calculator. I understand that you can plug it in, do RREF, and get the answers really, really quickly, and that's fine. Like, I'm okay for you working toward an answer in this case, but I do want to see all of this work on the screen. Okay, so if you just give me 3 answers, x is equal to -6, z is equal to 3, and y is equal to 5, without any actual work, you won't get credit, period. All right. I'm okay giving partial credit so long as you actually show your work. All right. Same is true for number 5. So again, I get that you can put this into a calculator, do RREF, and get an answer, but I want to see all of the work that you see on screen. All right. So keep in mind this bottom left-hand part. Hold on. This bottom left-hand part, that's all going to be done by hand. Okay, so you need to get a coefficient matrix. You need to find the determinant of that coefficient matrix by hand. Okay, again, I know that you can plug this into a calculator and get a determinant really quickly, but I want to see all of this work. Okay, and I will be grading you on that work. Then you need to plug it into Cramer's rule, which is all of this on the right. And that stuff is the stuff you can do on your calculator. And again, I expect to see all of this work. How do you do an elimination problem like number 4 in the calculator to be able to check it? This right here. Okay, so you go to second matrix, you edit a 3-row by 4-column matrix, plug in every number that you see basically, so all the coefficients and the answers. Then second matrix again, scroll right to math, and then down to RREF, and then recall that matrix. And then I'll give you those answers. All right. For number 4 and 5, I am okay with those being fraction answers. I'll make the generated version be either one. Okay, so if you get a fraction answer, that's okay. It's kind of up to you to check it and be okay with the answer that you give. All right. Number 6, it's just a 2x2 system. You need to be able to solve a 2x2 system in any way that you know. All right, using substitution, elimination, or graphing. If you graph, I need to see your equations for the graph and the graphs. Okay, so you need to draw the 2 graphs, you need to have the 2 equations, and you need to have their intersection. Okay. Otherwise, elimination and substitution, that's kind of the same thing that we've been doing. And I need to see that work. Okay, so even though you guys will have all these resources kind of in front of you, I'm guessing, I still need to see all your work. I still need to see all of your reasoning. Now, for the test, okay, I will open up the test probably about 15 minutes before your class is actually scheduled to start. All right, so if we had if our test was today, I'd probably open it up at like 12:15, or sorry, 12 o'clock. and it would be due about 15 minutes after the test is after your period is actually scheduled to end. Okay, so our class ends today at 1:35, which means it would close at like 1:50. Okay, so you have the entire period plus those two 15-minute buffers. It is my intention that this test will only take you maximum of like 30 to 35 minutes. Okay, so if you do need extra time, it is built in. Okay, and we should be able to get it done within that amount of time. Okay, now in order to submit it, you can do it in one of two ways. Okay, you can do it on your tablet using the stylus, which I'm guessing none of you still have, and then submit it as a PDF, or you can do your questions in a notebook and then take a picture of all those problems and submit them as a JPEG. Okay, do not submit them as a Word document, so don't copy and paste a picture into a Word document and then submit that, because I cannot see it. Okay, my guess is that there will be some cases where if I see someone's work and I cannot read it, I will ask you to resubmit it. Okay, so do not don't like just throw away your work. Okay, because that could be really, really important. Yeah, so I think that just about covers it. Are there any specific questions that you've seen since I've been talking? Are we turning the test back into on campus? Yeah, you're submitting this to on campus. Like when you take the test, you'll take a picture of it, you'll submit those to on campus, and that's how I'm gonna grade them. Yeah, you can print them out. That's fine, but you will still have to submit that. All right, so you will have to actually like take a picture of it and then submit it. That's totally fine, and that's kind of also what those two 15-minute buffers are supposed to be. Okay. Does anyone want to see any one of these problems worked out? Maybe barring the first three because we did those together. Or are there any specific questions on any of the individual problems? Okay. Multiplying two matrices together. So say we're multiplying these two together. The first thing that you have to do is get the dimensions of both matrices. All right. Yeah, if you're good, you can get off and start the practice test. I will be in Teams in the next like 10 to 15 minutes, and I'll start a meeting, and if you have specific questions, I'll be there. Okay. Now, for multiplying two matrices, the first thing we have to do is to get dimensions. All right. So this left-hand matrix, that is a 3-row and 2-column matrix. The right-hand matrix is a 2-row and 4-column matrix. In order to multiply two matrices together, these two middle numbers need to be the same. And because they are, that means our new matrix is a 3x4 matrix. It's the two numbers left over. Okay, and each element has its own coordinate. Okay, so this top left-hand one, that's 1, 1. Next to it is 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4. And then down below it, that's 2, 1. Down below that, that's 3, 1. Okay, and these coordinates tell you what to multiply. All right, so 1, 1 tells you to multiply the first row by the first column. So for that, we have 4 times 3 plus 1 times 4. The next element, that's the first row times the second column. So we do the first row times the second column. So we have 4 times 1 plus 1 times 5. And we just use that pattern over and over again. So 1, 3, that's the first row times the third column. So it's 4 times 0 plus 1 times negative 1. And then 4 times 2 plus 1 times 6. The row below it, second row, first column. So we multiply the second row by the first column, and then we do the same thing that we just did. So 5 times 3 plus 7 times 4. And then we just continue that to the third row. And then all of this simplified, that would be the answer. Okay, so you get dimensions, make sure the two middle numbers are equal, and then the two outer numbers is your new dimensions of your new matrix. And then you're multiplying rows by columns determined by the number of the element. Okay, any other questions? Okay, since there are no other questions, I'll leave this open for the next minute or so. And then if there's none still, I'll close this and then I'll hop over to Teams, start a call, and if anyone needs any help, I'll be there to answer any questions. Okay. since there are no other questions, I'm gonna hop over to Teams, and I will be able to help people a little bit more specifically on that. Okay. Again, this new practice test, I would like you to work on this on your own, instead of just watching me do those problems. Okay. So start to work on that, and then your test will look very similar on Friday. Okay. So I'll end this here, and I will talk to people on Teams.